All right. I can see that they have prepared for us. If you have questions to ask, the ushers are ready with paper. You can write it on the paper. Or if you want to ask directly, you are also welcome to do that. Or maybe it's a comment or concern, or you need some clarification. Can we do that very quickly? Okay. All right. Number 1, number 2, number 3. While we wait for other... Yes, sir. I've counted you. Yes, sir. I was waiting for... While we're waiting for others to write their questions, so let's go with the direct one. Number 1, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. I just want to know, in the course of the talk, you said that a man that is deployed needs to stick to the home church, the mother church, the church that deployed. I want to just tell us how you kept contact with your base, where you are now, where you were at UK, and what are their influence,
very good,
their contribution up till now. Yes.
Thank you very much. That's a very good practical question. One of the ways by which I connect with the base, I will still use that word connect, is by communication. Either electronically, by sending reports at home, or by using the platform of the social media, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, email, name it, and by direct contact, telephone. When we're preparing the budget for this new year, 2017 to 2018, my pastor said to me, he said, sir, apart from the allowance that is given to you in the ministry officially, I know how much you spend personally on communication. That is not in the budget. So I send report invariably. In Acts chapter 14, I think verse 14, Paul had to return to base to give report of his ministry. Today, apart from coming physically like this, we have to send report back home, either monthly or quarterly or yearly, whichever. And that is when we now talk about the exploits that God has done. I like to talk about exploits than challenges. And if I'm going to talk about challenges at all, I will talk about it in an exciting way that will not make people to have pity on me. Ọlọ́run ò pè missionary láti jìyà. So these are the ways by which I connect with the base. There must be a regular report. By tomorrow, I'm going to bring our mission report, so that we will see reports from various fields where God is allowing us to labor. That is one way. Then when we come home, they give me the opportunity to preach in the church. I don't preach directly, I give reports. I love giving reports about what is happening on the fields, different places where God is allowing us to work. What is their contribution to that? Number 1, it elicits their prayers. The prayer tempo we raise. Number 2, it also brings about more financial commitment. Number 3, it brings about more commitment about other welfare support. Oh, okay. Pastor is working in this area. All right. I think we need to do something in that area. And then when I'm going, at times, they get me a dress like this. I can't remember when last I go to the market to buy anything. That is one of the ways by which my boss encouraged me. So they do that for me. Like, anytime I'm around, my pastor, because all that we have, we had, surrendered everything when we were going to the mission field. So anytime I'm around, my resident pastor will release his car to me. That's the Jeep that you see me ride. That wine, yeah. He surrendered it for me to use. Because God has given me a Jeep before then, and I'm not claiming ease. It is just when I'm around, I use it and go. And then other allowances they make, because I'm not on salary. I can't be on salary. They can't pay me. That's the honest truth. If they are going to pay me according to my status, then you are looking at 7, 8 figures. And I'm not exaggerating. By ministry standard, that is my worth. But we don't go by that. We go by what is available per time. There are occasions that I don't even look at their side. Deliberately, I allow God to move in other areas. So they minister to me. And where I see that they are not doing it enough for me and my other missionaries, I trash them. That is the apostolic authority that God has given to us. I don't know if I've answered you, sir. Succinctly. Yeah. Number 2.
Thank you, sir, for the sharing. I have a comment and then I have a question. Before you came, we had been looking at what mission entails. How does God call a man? What are the preparation? How do you get involved in missions? Like in form of Bible teaching. And some people had volunteered, and we know that there are different kinds of mission. There are professional missions, right, like medical mission that you mentioned.
Yes.
There is intracultural mission.
Yes.
You leave your environment and then you go and live there, learn their food and things like that. They are cross-cultural, so on and so forth. And I know that there are 1 or 2 people that I know are burdened in this church. In fact, I looked around for one of them. I didn't see him. He would tell me the reason why he couldn't come today. Maybe he will come tomorrow in the evening. But the question there is, and you mentioned part of it. Unless you first cross the stream, right, you cannot cross the ocean.
Yeah.
And I know that before now, our church used to support some mission. We were giving something directly every month until the person moved out of Niger. But I personally have people that I'm supporting on mission. Is it enough for a church to just probably invite missionaries time and again and send them out with love offering? This church, we had taken medical mission because we have about 6 doctors and a few nurses as well. We've taken mission across, the divide in this area.
An answer today, because Mr. Amosun has been looking for who will anchor our medical mission every Sunday.
Okay.
3rd Sunday of the month.
Okay.
And nurses.
Okay. So we had done that. But in addition to just preaching the gospel, we had looked forward to, look at it as an avenue of bringing people to the Lord. But when you take it far away, they don't follow you back here.
Good.
But we just sow it, and it takes a lot of resources, like you have said.
Yes.
And we review those things. In fact, there was a time we did consecutively, at 3 months interval, what we call vocational training. We train people in different acts, tailoring, and we minister to them because they will spend about 6 weeks with us. But after they go again, are we doing mission or we are just sowing into Aja Diakpere? Because I'm burdened, because we've really spent a lot in this area. I want clarification on that, and whether that is also mission, or is it until I leave what I'm doing presently and I go and maybe to Burkina Faso and say, well, I will stay there. The little general medicine I know, I'll practice it there. Is that is it then that I'm in mission? The
Yes, sir.
second thing, sir, we have some of them that I would like you to meet tomorrow who had volunteered. Their list is here. We have about 23 volunteering for different things. So I would like you to speak with them. I've already spoken to those people. They know themselves. And maybe about 15 minutes, you will just address them. The vision is for an appointed time. But how do they prepare before they get there?
Thank you so much, sir. Let me start with the second one. Thank you for the comments and, the contribution. What you are doing is mission. Mission has different strides and strokes. And that challenge that you have, I had it for a very long time, and I was asking myself, am I in missions? With the area of the ministry that God has committed into our hands, in power ministry, particularly training. That's what we go to do in all the nations, empowering the people on the field. Not necessarily going to preach another gospel, but the people that are there already, you want me to see it? Wow. I won't be able to see my people. I want to see the faces. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Ugao. Okay, thank you. Can you see my face, please? Thank you. So I had that challenge, and I was asking myself, am I doing mission? Why did I ask that? Because when you see some other missionaries or some other mission agency, they say, we have missionary in this field, we have just opened that field, we have just opened. Which one has Victor opened? It was a bother to me. I had to go to my mentor in missions, Reverend Ezemadu, and I asked him, I said, Bra Ruben, am I doing missions? I said, am I doing missions? He laughed. He said, Bra Victor, if you are not doing mission, I won't even allow you in any of our mission field. And he now analyzed my ministry for me. And that gave me more strength and more understanding and more confidence. Before then, when we go for our NEMA meeting, I don't have enough confidence to talk among other mission agency leaders. When they said the mission executives, I cannot talk because they will ask, where are your fields? I said, no. It disturbed me for years until I met Brother Ruben, and where we discussed this matter was in Cameroon. I went there to run our training program there in warfare, because that is the key that God gave me to open the doors of nations. Operating in warfare, operating in the supernatural, that is what open field. And I've seen it in continents that we have gone all over the place. It is the supernatural. And I hold tenaciously to it. I don't bother my head about opening any field or no field. If there is field to open, fine. If there is no field, I go to equip the saints, ETS. The teachers, the missionaries, the pastors on ground, we equip them. We give them what it takes for them to run their vision and to fulfill it. Am I doing missions? Yes, I am doing missions. In the same vein, what you are doing is in another dimension. They call it economic empowerment. What we now need to do is to now go back to the field with them and train other people. And that is capital intense. It requires money. It requires time. It requires personnel that we go and engage the field for that time. So it has to be structured and say, okay, for this year, these are n number of fields that we want to target and do that vocational training, economic empowerment, and do a cooperative. There is a ministry that does that in US, peer servant. They were supporting our missionary in Brazil for so many years. All they are doing is just look at a need. They go there, they give somebody a money to finance, microfinancing, turn it around, and then they collect the initial capital and give it to another person. Are they doing missions? Yes. There are different sides of missions. So, definitely, you are doing missions. That is number one. Number two of it, again, is those that already have a burden. We call them missionary candidates. They need to be prepared. People like that, if they can't leave their job, then we organize what we call short-term missions training for them. CMF does that. For 3 months, they will come and train them, and then they take them for practicals. And from there, doors will begin to open for intern, such that when there are opportunities for mission work, like we'll be going to Niger Republic or Burkina Faso, Mali, and there are people like that that are available, they go. They prepare themselves, and they go and come back. Gradually, they are being, that is having an involvement and interaction with the mission field. And they come back, they give report. That was the way I started. You know, I started way back in 83 when we went to Benin Republic and Togo with Wale Adekoya then. And then later, I started with CMF, Capro. I was visiting all their fields. That was where I started my own internship. And gradually, God began to open us up more and more into it. Until a time will come among those 23 that will say, now I want to be fully trained as a missionary. At that point in time, then the church should now have fields that God is speaking to us about, what we call targeted fields that we'll be praying about. Like in our ministry now, we have 5 nations that we call targeted fields, and we're praying and trusting God that either God will send us there as missionary, or there will be missionaries that are working there that will be involved with. That will come eventually. Then, in terms of your support, to make it more effective, we can adopt a missionary. We can adopt a mission field. Like our ministry, we have missionaries, but then we adopt missionaries as well from other agencies that will be supporting regularly. If it is 10,000, to be 10,000 regularly every month. Not just people coming for mission. You invited a missionary and then you take a mission offering and you go. No, but the missionaries that you adopt now becomes your own missionary. That was how we started when I said we adopted 5 missionaries. We were less than 20 in the church or in the congregation. But we adopted 5, and all of them are foreign missionaries. And we began to, we began to support them. And every year they come, they give their report, to encourage other people. And they mention their need. I remember one year when they mentioned their need, that to do this work effectively, we need a machine. A brother just called me after, an engineer from a Baptist church. I can't forget that elderly man. He said, how much does a machine cost? I said, 80,000. And immediately, he wrote the check. And that was how God answered the need. We do that during our mission conference. So, to create more awareness of mission, we can have one Sunday as Mission Sunday, where all we will do that Sunday will be missions. So these are the things, but definitely from all that you have said, we are into missions. Yeah. Number 3, sir.
So I give God all the glory for your life and what God has used you for years. And I thank God that I was able to be here this afternoon, because between this market and to the airport, I stayed there 1 hour 30 minutes. But I thank God eventually I came out of that road. That's why I was a bit late. I'm also a missionary to hospital evangelism.
Okay, sir.
And I've started since 1993. The Lord called me, though I worked in UCH, but I entered UCH in 1968 and retired in 1998. Wow. Since then, I've been in mission. I thank God for all what you have been telling us. Particularly, I met about financing in ministry. You are talking about how God met your finances. But I would like you to also tell us tomorrow about how God met finances of projects. In my own calling, the Lord called me to hospital mission just to build an hospital for Tungarua village. It's there now, operating every day. It cost us 7.8 million within 10 years. That hospital is there today. I'm not a doctor.
Amen.
I'm just an engineer with UCH. And through there, I was called. And so when we wanted to start that hospital, we are in need of 35,000 for transportation. And we got only 30,000. So a friend just came in. Oh, when are you going, clinic? I just want to say bye-bye. I said, we are not going anywhere. We have been looking for 5,000 for 3 days. He said, okay, can you get fuel into my bus? I will take you down there. So he set his own journey off. And he took us to Tungarua village in Niger State. Okay. When we got there, he knew that that 30,000 was to start that hospital that very period we went there. To lay the foundation, digging, and all these things. And at the end, in 2011, only one person he used who gave us 1.6 million within 8 weeks to complete that hospital to the level to us. He said, hand over to them and leave. So I would like, if we can have time tomorrow, to let people know that if he gives you a project, he's the one that will do it. He will need faith. He doesn't need anything from you. All these projects, I don't have 1 naira. But about the report is very important. Our reports gives us the grace to meet more people who helped in the ministry work. So God has his own people we will use. And we need faith to work with him. And I pray that Almighty God will use you more to help this church in particular. I've told my friend, he's the next person that God is calling to that mission work. And whether assembly pastor likes it or not, that gown, you put it there, secretariat, and join us. God help us in Jesus' name.
Amen. Do you work with Jepson, sir? I mean, there is this medical outreach. Jason.
No, I not Jason. Hospital missions, evangelism work with them. No, I just used them last year for a medical program.
Okay. Okay, because I think I've met you before, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, I know. That's why I say I think I've met you before. And with Jason. Yes. Definitely. We have met before. Ekpele, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. You have heard all that he said, so I won't repeat myself on that. And thank you for the compliment and the contribution. So we go to these questions. I want to thank God that you could respond, and it shows that we are really following all that we said here. The first question that I have here is, how do you follow up on the people from the mission field when you eventually have to leave them? Good question. That is Matthew 28, verse 19. Go and make disciples. And that is where evangelism is the first leg. Mission is the next and ultimate. When you do evangelism, you gather crops, but you have to get somebody to nurture the crops, to disciple them and bring them up in the way of the Lord, such that we're going to have what we call second generation missionary, where the church planted will be New Testament based. We have churches today on the mission field that carry the identity of those who come to plant them. That is one. There is what we call church explosion and implosion. But there is what we call a mission-based church on the field. So after, and because the people that God sent to the field have different callings, after the evangelist or whoever might have fulfilled his calling, somebody must be on the ground to continue with the work to raise men. And then we now raise what we call a New Testament-based church that is self-financing, self-supporting, self-governing, that they will raise elders. That is what Paul said. I'm going to go around, or he said, Titus, go and ordain elders in all the churches where we have gone. So we may not be the one to do the follow-up. That one of the people that God has raised, and that is what Paul does. He will, among the team, because we go as a team, he will leave one of them there. You stay, disciple these people, nurture them, let them mature to the point that they now have leaders among themselves. So they will own the vision. It will not be from the headquarters, we are sending direction, what do you call it? We are sending direction to them. And when you don't get instruction from the headquarters, you don't move. For instance, we are a missionary in Europe. It is from the headquarters here in Ibadan that we were released and sent forth. But we don't get our resources from the headquarters here. We raise it from the field. And that's what I tell all our missionaries. Every field has fruits. And every field must answer to the need of the missionary on the field. There is no place that does not have fruit. I don't believe it. There is a fruit. Yes, sir. There is a fruit. If we connect with the land very well. Another one says, how do we maintain the balance of fulfilling God's will and using your skill? Your skill is a call. And you should see it that way, that it is not just for bringing food to your table. Pastor Kayode is a missionary, a tent missionary, using his skill at this moment, and at the same time, using his skill to meet the need of people, at the same time, using his skill to answer the need of God. So, he should not be seen as, until the time he leaves the stethoscope in UCH, he is on the field already. And every one of us here in different callings that we are, that is your field. Are you an engineer? That's a call. You should just make sure that in the engineering field or when you are in the office, you use that avenue to reach out to souls. I remember in CSSM days, I don't know whether you are going with us, that was part of the teachings that they gave us in CSSM in 1981, that you should see your vocation as your calling. Don't wait until you hear, thus saith the Lord, I have called you into this mission. You are called already in that work. My wife is a missionary in Europe, in England, using her skill as a tent missionary, while I go as a full-time missionary. So don't wait until that time. Say, I don't know whether I'm called. You are called already. So keep on the job. until the Lord will redeploy you. Amen? Until the Lord will redeploy you. If the Lord deems fit to redeploy, Pastor Kayode from Nigeria to wherever. Actually, let me put it this way. There is a paradigm shift in missions now. There are nations that we can't enter with the passport of a missionary. Doors are being closed. But there are nations that we can enter as a professional. And that is why all the young ones here, don't say that your head did not read book. Ori mi o kàwé. Ori ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ kàwé by fire by fire. Nǹkan tí o bá ní kórí ẹ kàwé, I cast it out. And don't stay at first degree. First degree oto. First degree is like primary 6. I'm an educationist. I told my daughter, before you consider MRS, you will consider MSc. Yeah. She's doing her MSc. And I'm saying our deal is your PhD. That's our deal. I can allow you to marry at MSc, but I want to see that gown, that doctoral gown, and I want to come and shake you. That's the deal. Because the doors that God is opening in nations today are professional doors. Hello? So don't say, Timbasha di first degree, any king ba mu jade, mi ò fẹ́ gbọ́ o. Hello? Hello, young ones here? Sọ̀rọ̀ mọ́. Mi ò fẹ́ gbọ́ o. Pé yẹn náà ti tó, the pastor, mi ò understand o. You must go beyond. That's the way I talk to them in my church. No sitting down. No what? Wakawe yẹn ni o. By fire, by fire. You have no choose. Not even choice. Because nations are closing up. They are closing their gates every day. And the only way by which we can enter into nations is by certificate. Not just carrying the Bible. One of my sons in the Lord is a professional chartered administrator. He was going to enter, he was traveling from his country, Ireland, to the US. And they accosted him. The custom people, immigration people accosted him and said, if you say you're a missionary, you must get a missionary visa. So he returned, he was troubled. I said, you are the one that put yourself in trouble. I said, professionally, who are you? He said, I'm a chartered administrator. I said, fine. What else? Who are you? He was looking. I said, did you author a book? He said, yes. So you're an author. What else? I said, do you teach Bible study? So you are an educationist. Yes. The Bible study that you do here systematically every either Tuesday, I don't know when you hold your fellowship. That is education. I mentioned one other thing to him. He got the message. He said, Baba. Then I said, do people come to see you? I said, then you are a consultant. Look, these are terms that you must be familiar with. And you must know how to use it. I'm not going to. I said, what else? Who are you? I said, you are a coach. Don't you mentor people? Don't you have coach services? But if you say, I'm a missionary, Lord Joko Sibenye. You must learn the language of this century. I'm not going to introduce myself to anybody as a pastor or a missionary. I tell you I'm a coach. And they tell you in what area. There are ways you present yourself. And that is why you must tush yourself. You must step up. You must upgrade yourself. Can somebody say upgrade? If there are things that you need to do, little courses that you need to do to pep yourself up and to make yourself presentable, go ahead and do it. The age has passed where we carry Bible. I'm a missionary. That age has passed. They are closing their doors. They are sending missionaries out. And so we need to go as tent missionary, tent makers. And that was why I was looking for a job when I got to England. But the doors are, I'm legally qualified to work. But my wife said no. And I appreciate her for that. It's not all women that will tell you to sit down and face your purpose. Jadi lo wonjewani. Eh? Oh yes. Ego. I'm proud of her. She's a woman. To she fẹ̀yìntì. Tí ó dẹ̀ kí n tì ní lójú. I wanted to work. Said God has not called you here to come. I can't reconcile with that statement. Man, ọkùnrin, má ṣiṣẹ́, impossible. I did everything. The door was not opened. But what God called us to do, He began to prosper us in it. And we don't have any regrets. So, how do you strike the balance? Is that know that your profession is your calling. And fulfill yourself there. You have heard His testimony. We need administrators. That's one of my cry. Give us administrators. Many ministries, we don't have administrators. And that is why our ministry don't. Do you agree, sir? That's why our ministry, is shaky. Time will permit us.
Yeah, because what we want to do, this question will carry them over. Okay. And we will announce that people should come early tomorrow in the evening. Okay. We'll start from there before you now.
Perfect.
Because I don't want to stress you. We still have a meeting this
In the evening, Benny. But this is my element. I'm okay.
So maybe you answer the next one.
Okay. This one is about 4 questions. For Pawon. I will just take 1 or 2 of it so that we can close, like you said, so I don't weary you. For me, I can stand here till tomorrow. This is my element. Taking journeys of faith, is it not risky? I answer you quickly. Yes, it's very risky. Your coming to Christ is a risk. You're standing now to say, I have decided to follow Christ. It is a risk. I can't analyze that here now. So, your journey continuing from the time you say you believe is a risk. Every second of the way is a risk. So, it is not a free journey. Anything can happen anytime, anywhere. And that is why that's the way we must live our life. It's a risk. Because most times it doesn't work, faith works. It's not that it doesn't work. There could be other details that must be supplied. I waited for 18 years. It's a risk. It was a risk. But it pays off at the end of the day. Sir, there were people in this country, in Ibadan City, who are asking me that time, Brother Victor, what are you doing with, where did you say God sent you, no? What's the name of that country? Okay, oh. But when God fulfilled it, Brother Victor, that place that you are going, how can we go together now? Connect me. Is that so? So those who look down at you, they will look up to you when they begin to see your faith works. It may look as if it's not working, but it's working. So I've answered that. How do you realize it's faith and not testing God? When you stick your neck for him, when it is his project, then you know you are not testing God. For instance, I told you about the journey I'm going to make in 2 weeks' time. We hadn't the money in the account. Now, then, but I know I have to do this. And I jumped into it. I wasn't testing God. I was taking step of faith on behalf of God. And God showed up. At times, God will want us to take the first step inside the ocean before he opens it. Many of us are waiting for everything to be set. That's Oyinbo style. That's what? It has its own good side. But it doesn't allow you to depend on God. Hear me sharing the testimony now. How God has done it. I arrived in Nigeria last week. I hadn't money. I don't even know how things will be done. But I just know it will be done. And by early hours of this morning, I don't get a lot. God do we. And that is how God has been working. And I've been spending money. But you see, I'm a careless person when it comes to depending on God. I take risk for him. And I see him show up for me. So it's not testing him. I take the second one and then I'll leave the rest till tomorrow. Giving God conditions, is it wrong? It's like giving God ultimatum. God, if you don't do it, giving God condition, is it wrong? I will answer yes and no. Because I think that is the proper way to go when you are answering questions like that in economics or all other courses. The answer is yes and no. Yes, you can give God condition. If it is for his kingdom. I'll give you an example. We're talking about the kingdom. The land where our ministry is situated now, a town planning area, Okeayo. We have been scouting for land. And I was to go for a lecture, to lecture in Bible College at Oyo. But that day, it was a Friday, I said to myself, we've been scouting. And I said, God, this Friday, this land issue, you have to settle it. If it is not settled, then I'm not going to Oyo. That is giving him a condition. But it is about his kingdom. So we went to negotiate. And that day, the land issue was settled. We agreed to terms. Then, the woman said, when are you going to pay me? I said, come Tuesday. We're coming to pay. Because we no account. We only had 68,000 naira. And we're looking at 1 something million. When we left the place, my elders called me aside. They said, Pastor, you said we're coming to pay on Tuesday. And you know what is in the account? I said, what is today? They said, Friday. I said, is Friday over yet? He left Friday issue now. Who told you God cannot complete that money today? And we left. And we got home. I was excited and I said, right now I'm going to Oyo. But the moment we got home, my wife was preparing food for me. I still remember it like yesterday. I had an urge to pick the phone and call one of our members, partners. The moment I picked the phone, at the other end, she said, Brother Victor, I've been waiting for you. Your money is on my table. He said, I just have a new driver. I would have asked him to come. He doesn't know your area. I said, Kini mo nse? I saddled the horse, drove straight to our office and collected it and went straight to the bank, deposited it. Same day, sir. And I shared the testimony, and that spurred the faith of others. By Tuesday, we got over and above, and we paid in cash. So, yes, you can give God condition about his kingdom, not you. God, if I don't get husband this year, I will not go for you. Oh, Shaitan. Oh, Shaitan. We must do things like that. You know, it stretches our faith to believe him the more. No, don't give God condition, because the sovereignty is with him. He can do and he may not do. Kabio, Kosi, the sovereignty is with him. A good example is somebody is dead and you are praying and you are quoting and quoting, quote and unquote, quote and unquote, quote and unquote, and you say, God, if you don't do it, your name will be put to shame. His name will not be put to shame. These are religious statements, and sentiment, religious sentiment. His name will not be put to shame. Actually, but you better can yeku. Maybe it's better. I round it up with this testimony and I hand over. This pastor is in Lagos. His daughter has graduated and he's been given a job to work in US in a multinational company. The day she was to travel, she died. And people prayed. What prayer did people not pray? Koji. Years later, everybody has forgotten. God now opened the eyes of this man, and he saw his daughter in US. 2 years after she had traveled, she might have traveled, she became a prostitute. God said, that was what I averted. How will it be that your daughter, you, my servant, with integrity for so many years, is now a prostitute in the US? Abujo. God saw the end and took the righteous away. And you know what happened? Tears of joy now overwhelmed the pastor and said, God, how foolish I am. I didn't know. Eshe. You know, there are times the way God answers your prayers, you don't know. and you give him ultimate. Some people have given God ultimate, and they backslided gloriously. Gloriously. And what is it? Lord, that in sin láti joy. Abo ẹ̀dá. Abba mi sọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run kankan mọ́ o. Kí ló fẹ́ sọ fún mi inú Bíbélì tí mi ò mọ̀? Mo pè títí kí ló abo ẹ̀dá. But Ọlọ́run ò kí ń jẹ nígún o. Ṣé gbọ́? The little children, they don't understand that. God does not owe any man. Ọlọ́run ò kí ń jẹ níkẹ́ni gún. Kò sí nǹkan tó ṣe fún tó gbé. Kò gbé o. You may be at loss now, it seems. When the reward comes, you will say, God, I didn't know that you will answer me this way. God bless you.